Hey there, my name is Megan and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a spoiler-free book review for The 13th Child by Erin A. Craig. The 13th Child is the fourth book that I've read by Erin A. Craig, and it is a YA standalone fantasy based on the grim fairy tale Godfather Death. I do have reviews for two of her other books, Small Favors and House of Root and Ruin, so I will link those down in the description box if you're interested in checking them out. She is definitely becoming an auto-buy author for me. I definitely have enjoyed every single book that I've read by her. One of the things that I do like about Erin A. Craig and why I recommend her books is that even though her books are marketed as YA, they are actually very mature. All of the books I've read by her have addressed very mature themes in a very tactful manner that can be read by both younger and older audiences. So don't shy away from this author if you are an adult. I definitely still recommend her books for adults. The way that I structure my book reviews is I discuss the plot, the things that I liked about this book, the things that I didn't like so much, and then I give the book an overall rating. So if you're interested in skipping to any one of those particular sections, I always put timestamps down in the description box below. In The 13th Child, we are following a protagonist named Hazel, and she is the 13th child of a poor, struggling family. Upon her birth, her parents promised her as like an acolyte to the god of death. His name is Merrick. His actual title is the Dreaded End, and he's basically the personification of death. Hazel doesn't know when he's going to come for her, so she waits year after year for his arrival to whisk her away, and her family does treat her very badly, and on her 12th birthday, Merrick shows up and takes her away to become a healer, ironically considering he's the god of death. However, there is a curse to being the god of death's healer. If Hazel is trying to heal someone and she sees what's called the death shed, a skull-type apparition that covers the person's face, then she knows that she is going to be the one responsible for ending their life rather than trying to heal that person. And that person's soul will essentially become a ghost and follow Hazel around for the rest of her life and haunt her. This book does follow Hazel as she ages. She starts off learning to be a healer at age 12, and it does finish by the time she's age 20. Around age 18, her healing abilities have become famous, and she is summoned to the royal court. The king has been infected with a devastating illness that no one has ever seen before, and she is tasked with healing him. However, there is a moral dilemma. The king has been marked by the death shed, and Hazel must choose whether to follow her duty as the god of death's apprentice, essentially, or follow her own moral compass and try to change the king's fate. Hey guys, if you are enjoying this video, please consider hitting that subscribe button as well as giving this video a like to throw my channel a little bit of support. Also, if you enjoy science fiction books, I'm the author of Aftermath, and I would really appreciate it if you checked it out on Amazon or Goodreads. See if it's a book that speaks to you, you might be interested in reading, and I would love it if you could support an indie author. Moving on into the things that I liked about this book, this is definitely a dark gothic fantasy, which I absolutely love. I love all of the mild horror elements that Erin A. Craig incorporates into this book, such as the creepy description of these illnesses, the ghosts that follow Hazel around, the fact that she can travel in between the mortal realm and like the immortal realm and have interactions with all of the different gods, because Merrick, the god of death, is not the only god. So there's a lot of just creepy atmospheric elements that I love in Erin A. Craig's writing, and she definitely is able to communicate that with beautiful prose. Even in the first chapter, I was immediately sucked into the story just based on her prose alone. Like I said at the introduction to this video, these books can be enjoyed by both younger and older audiences. I feel like Erin A. Craig really touches on more mature themes. For example, in The 13th Child, there is the theme of dynamic and sometimes toxic family relationships. There's also the theme of fate versus free will. Is fate real? Are we susceptible to it? If so, then what is the point of free will, and do we even have it? So those questions arise a lot in this book. And then definitely the themes of just life and death and what to do with the life that we're given, and also just the inevitability of our own mortality, as Hazel is the person that is responsible for healing people while at the same time being responsible for their death. But considering that they're already marked for death, would they have died without Hazel's intervention? Fate versus free will. I also like that we are dealing with an older protagonist. Like I said, towards the end of the book, Hazel has aged to about 20 years old, so she is a bit more mature at times. There is a romance subplot in this book with the king's son, and it definitely did not overshadow the main plot of the story, but it was a well done slow burn romance, and it did add quite a bit of emotion to the story. And I think that the author wove the romance into a very dark gothic story very well. And then this is definitely more of a character development story than a high action story. We are following Hazel from birth, being the 13th child, all the way until death. And we see how she changes and grows as a person and deals with the conflicts that she has been faced with during her life that are emotionally taxing and will pull at your heartstrings. So if you were looking for a book that is lots of battles and wars and physical conflicts, you're not going to find it so much in this story. It focuses more around Hazel's own internal conflicts and her moral compass. Having said that, moving on into my dislikes, this is a slower paced book. There are some parts of the plot that I really found to be lagging, and it took a while before the author kind of tied all the plot points together, because I was not expecting Hazel to spend so much time at the royal court and to be as involved as she was, but that does take up a huge chunk of the story. And then there were also other parts of the story where I feel like Hazel was just being moronic. She was just making the stupidest decisions. And the main decision that she made that was idiotic basically fuels the conflict of this entire story. So understand if she hadn't have made that decision, then we wouldn't have had the story we do. But it was so frustrating because Hazel is this 18-year-old girl, and she makes this decision that defies basically fate, defies what her godfather, the god of death, told her not to do, and she does it anyway, and then this whole domino effect happens. And it's just like she's questioning essentially gods that have been around for millennia, and have so much more wisdom and knowledge than her, and she thinks she knows better, and she just does whatever she wants. And then all of these horrible repercussions happen, and she's like, oh my god, if I only listened to Merrick, he knew what he was talking about. Well, yes, you should have, because you're a stupid child. So there were times where she was just making these decisions that just drove me nuts. But like I said, without them, we wouldn't have had the story that we did. All in all, I really enjoyed The 13th Child. I loved the atmosphere, the gothic elements. The story definitely had emotional parts to it. Hazel was a really interesting character to follow her journey throughout her life. The story did have an abrupt ending, but the author did tie up all the loose ends in a very, very emotional epilogue, which I wasn't expecting. I like that this was a standalone book and I didn't have to invest in an entire series as well. I will say, if you're someone that enjoys books that focus on our own mortality and how to get the best out of the life that we have while we're here on Earth, books like The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, if you are an adult fantasy reader, then The 13th Child would definitely work for you. And in the end, I ended up giving this book a 4 out of 5 stars. All right, you guys, let me know in the comments if you have read this book and what you thought of it, or if you plan on reading it now. Also, if you've read any of Erin A. Craig's other books and what you thought of them. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another video soon. Goodbye.